And we are live on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday evening. Hello, everyone in here, out there. This is the Trade and Raid podcast. I am your host, Mike, aka Lord Glarp. And as always, our favorite disembodied voice, Sage, is with us.
Greetings, everyone, and good evening.
I had to do a double take. I forgot that I had changed the background. I thought something was wrong. I was like, what is this? Oh, yeah, that's right. SK says, gosh, that's still a great intro. I appreciate that. Thank you. It was fun. I was a little concerned that the jazzy opening would be too jazzy. But I think it's appropriately jazzy. Again, I'm having a little bit of lighting issues going on today. My face is a little dark in places, and then I bring up backgrounds and I'm washed out as fuck, so bear with me. So, today is Wednesday. I feel like I'm not prepared, even though I am very prepared. I feel unprepared. You know,
That's because you didn't mention. I know what it is. I think it's you didn't mention that. Unlike our previous shows, this is going to be a good one.
That is true. Yes. In the past, we've had. I mean, let's be frank. We've had some shitty podcasts. I would say the vast majority, all of them have been complete and utter shit. An absolute fucking waste of your time. And I would like to apologize. But today, great news, especially if this is your first time here. This is going to be a great podcast. So there's that. It's wonderful. Fantastic. Lucky you for being here. Yeah. So Sage, I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball.
Uh-oh. I'll put on my catcher's mitt.
Hey, we're in the waiting room. Let's go to live.
Okay.
That wasn't the curveball, but I might as well.
Surprise.
I'm going to share a screen with you. There you go.
Ba-da-ba-doo.
I found this today, and I thought it was really cool. We're going to talk about it in a bit.
Oh.
Guys, this is the Trade and Raid podcast. Like I said, we talk about a lot of gaming stuff. We talk about tech stuff. We do deep dives. We do shallow dives. We talk about 30-plus sliced cheeseburgers that I'll never forget, and I just can't not think about it every time I think about what we do around here. And Wednesday, I feel like we haven't really nailed down what Wednesday is. We know what Friday is. Friday is, our Freaky Friday. We get into all the odds and ends and crooked corners of the internet, and we talk about just, all this like weird shit that doesn't really have anything to do with anything, right? Just news you'd really never see in your feed anywhere. And we kind of scrape the news barnacles off the bottom of the dock, and we feed them to you on a plate. And that's typically Friday. Now on Monday, we're starting to do, as you saw from yesterday, kind of like some bigger topics that we kind of stay on one big topic. It was game difficulty on Monday, and I thought it went really well. It's weird, and I'm still not totally comfortable with it, but I did enjoy doing it and talking about it with Sage and with you guys, and I like exploring. That's like a very general topic. It's a big one. We didn't even get through half of what I had written up for it, which is great. That's a good problem to have. And we still ran for 2.5 hours. And I feel like we jumped into it really quick. I think we were only like 10 minutes in or less.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was we hit it hard.
So I'm feeling that Wednesday, I want to run you guys through kind of what's going on in nerd culture. I'm thinking Wednesday is going to be a little bit of a mix of the two worlds. It's news, but it's more focused news. It's we're going to have a kind of a main segment, but it's not going to be a 2.5 hour long main segment. We're going to kind of merge the two worlds together, and I think that's going to be the way to go. Hey, Freyeth Fox, one of the first things we're going to talk about today, as I see you mentioning Fortnite in chat, we're going to talk a little bit about Fortnite and a player-made creation that I think is absolutely awesome. What's happening Wednesdays? Okay, come on. You're ridiculous. That's good. I like that. What's happening Wednesdays?
Smooth.
And I think we're going to dedicate Wednesdays for the foreseeable future to some unsung heroes of gaming. And it was something Sage and I were talking about. What was that? Day before yesterday? Day before yesterday.
Day before yesterday, yeah.
And, you know, it's like Sid Meier. I know he exists, but I have no clue who he is, right? A man who created, defined, and basically perfected an entire genre. Someone whose name is frequently used as cheat codes in other games.
It's on the box.
But who is he? I have no clue. If you showed me a picture of him, I'd have no idea.
He's just some dude, bro.
Right. So there's people out there that I think deserve a little bit of recognition. So we're going to dive into some of those on Wednesdays. To kind of be the main course to our appetizer, and our appetizer is the news. Who's that Wednesdays? Nah, we're sticking with what's happening Wednesdays. It's a bit of a reach, SK.
Game developer.
We could.
What's that Pokemon?
Yeah, do the black silhouette of the person. Who's that game developer? Yeah, I kind of got thinking about it, and there are some characters in gaming too that I wouldn't mind talking about, but those might turn into video essays I might just upload as standalone videos, because I'm thinking the more I'm writing and the more that I'm diving into this stuff, I'm realizing that I actually really like talking about, but some of the topics we talk about are so big and so open-ended that I think that'd be difficult for me to put into a video. But like a person and why a person or a character is important, I think I'd be pretty okay with that. By the way, next week, Monday, our topic is going to be water.
What are you doing?
Oh, geez. How are you doing today, Sage?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's just been a busy, kind of a wild day. Some stuff's been happening, but altogether, I'm pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good.
Good. Got to make sure I ask. I'm sure the people would like to know how you're doing.
Yes, the people will know. They will know that I am good.
They don't give a fuck.
I am a benevolent Star-Lord.
What are we doing? Oh yeah, Friday. I was like, I feel like something important's going on Friday. And just so you guys know, we are for sure 100% good to go on interviewing. Excuse me, I had a burp. The lead developer, designer, maker, creator, owner of the MMORPG Etterspire, which I'm pretty happy about. Currently, it is released on iOS, and it is coming to Android soon. So there's that. Alrighty. I have not burned 15 minutes, nor do I care. You got any more news? Am I missing anything? Updates for us?
The only thing I have that has kind of been blowing up in the last couple days, which is tech related, not directly gaming related, but it is like tech related and creator related, is some drama and stuff that is happening around the Linus Media Group company, their media channels, and some of the other like tech reviewer, tech creators thing. So if you watch stuff in that space, you know what's going on. If you don't, there's definitely some interesting drama going on just in related to like review accuracy and data accuracy and proper behavior for companies and individuals who are the face of those companies in that space. And I found it quite interesting and also disappointing as someone who definitely watches a lot of content in that space. So I know that's something that's been going on recently.
I used to listen to a lot of Linus Tech Tips. I think I got a little burnt out of the of reviews of tech for a while there.
Yeah.
I dove in too deep.
You got burned.
All right, I'm gonna get on to my topic.
Right on.
So first topic we got going on here is a pretty cool article I found. I don't know when this was posted. I'm sure it's got a date on here somewhere, probably at the very end. It's very new. But I don't have a date. It's weird that they didn't date it. Within the past week or so. So this is Toxic Gamers Are Alienating Your Core Demographic, the Business Case for Community Management. Super interesting, and I kind of wish we were talking to our community manager today, but she's not going to be able to be with us for probably 3 or 4 weeks. She has some business stuff going on, but I might bring this back up. And I'm not going to get into the summary. Introduction. While not often talked about in public spheres, there seems to be a widely held assumption that hate and harassment in gaming spaces remain a cornerstone of these communities because so-called toxic players are believed to constitute a significant portion of consumers. This idea has fueled an unsubstantial fear that improved moderation efforts against these behaviors would essentially moderate out a core game-playing demographic. Which I find to be kind of a weird statement, but we'll keep going. Various forms of hate and harassment are frequent in gaming spaces. Recent reports from the Anti-Defamation League note that 77% of adult online multiplayer gamers surveyed reported experiencing severe harassment, up to 65 in 2019. The prevalence of this kind of behavior have come to be so commonplace that many are referring to them as not only normalized, but culturally justified behaviors within gaming communities. While it's important to draw attention to the frequency of these experiences in gaming communities and understand its mental health impact on those who are experiencing and witnessing these actions, it remains unclear what consequences these actions have on player behavior. Would more effective moderation of toxic behaviors in games negatively impact the bottom line? Are toxic players truly games' core demographic? This year, we gained the first insight into how toxicity and revenue are related, looking at game players aged 13 to 25. Researchers found the average monthly amount of money spent on games deemed non-toxic as compared to toxic was a difference of 54%. That is, there was a 54% gain in revenue for games that don't sell consumers spewing name-calling, racial epithets, Holocaust denial, misogyny, threats to one's safety, and your garden variety are and death threats. Which I thought that was a pretty significant. Like, that's pretty substantial, right? Like a 60, or was that 54% jump in spending. But then I got thinking about it and I was like, I feel like toxic gamers are drawn towards competitive gaming and typically gaming that's like either PC based or console based, right?
I think the competition aspect is the kind of crux of it, because that would be That's where people can get gatekeepy, right? If you're like, you see that in speedrunning communities, some there can definitely be some drama around that, because it's like, yeah, you think about a single player game and you're like, how can anyone be like gatekeepy about that, right? But because people do speed running and they compete, to get the fastest times, stuff like that, I definitely think anything that gets a competitive nature appended to it, that's kind of where you actually start to see toxicity. And obviously with games like MMOs and the battle arenas and Fortnites and League of Legends and that kind of stuff, it's going to be a breeding ground for that sort of thing.
And just so we're clear moving forward here, Nielsen, a global leader in data and analytics, pooled 2,328 adolescents and adults residing in North America. And then you have this one here, which they get into a little bit greater detail of who was polled. It was 59% male and 39% female, 1% other, 0.1 prefer not to say. Participants ages ranged from 7 to 54 years old, though 36% were between 25 and 34. 35 and 54 made up another 39%. So very few were below the age of 25, and then basically none, I assume, over 54. Data was collected between April of 2023 and May of 2023. So we are looking at
like a two-week period, basically.
Yeah, and 2,300 and basically 2,330 people is quite a few. Like, that's if you're grabbing a random chunk of people, because I always look for that. Like, oh, this poll, 61%, they got like 100 people, polled or something like that. So this is I think 30 or 2,300 is still pretty small, but I do appreciate the age and gender gaps, so we're not just talking about 13-year-olds playing games, right? Or we're not just talking about 50-year-old women playing games. Let's see here. Resident about their experiences with gaming communities to examine the impact of toxicity on spending and engagement behaviors. So 61% of players stated they had at least once decided not to spend money in a game because of how other players treated them, which is wild to me. I don't think the way I've ever been treated in a game has affected me spending money or not spending money in a game ever in my life. I cannot think of a single instance that would be true. 24% of players reported they very often decided to not spend money in a game because of other players.
I wonder if you would count. Let's say if you were playing World of Warcraft and you got
slash.
It's like how great. Yeah, let's say it was fine for months, right? And then you had a really bad experience like running a dungeon with 4 other people, and they all they started turning on you and jumping on you like, you're such a trash player, blah blah blah. Not even anything specifically offensive about you as a person, but just you're a bad player, you should quit the game. And okay, so if you took a month off of playing WoW because you were upset about that, does that count? It's not does that count as not, being, not spending money on the game?
I can think of I was gonna say, I could think of a reach of I was going to play a game, but I was treated so poorly by the community that I stopped playing the game. And had I kept playing it, I'm the type of person that would spend money. So to that extent, I didn't spend money because of a toxic community. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but that would be true.
But it might still count. Yeah. Because I'm I can't really think of anything off the top of my head either where I didn't spend money on a game because of how I was treated necessarily.
This would be
Like it would be a bit of a stretch.
this would be an infinitely more interesting paper if it was toxic game development company owners are alienating your core demographic. like 89% of players stated that they used to like a game but don't like it now because of poor business practice and it won't spend money. I think that's I would love to see like a breakdown of like, you take same percentages of demographics and you pump this up to like 20,000, like 23,000, and just see how much money companies lose because of poor like business practice. Like updating a game, like a new DLC came out and you fucked my game. you know. I can't imagine like if World of Warcraft had like a good development cycle like ever, and let's say Miss of Pandora never happened, and you went from like Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm directly into like Warlords of Draenor, Legion, something like that. Like you just followed that path. And all of the expansions were really, really good. And Bobby Kotick was not milking the company for every penny it's worth. And like people weren't drinking other workers' breast milk out of the refrigerator. Like if all of that hadn't happened, do you know how fucking big that game would be right now? Considering that it has survived all of this at all,
right. That's the wild thing.
Like I think they'd be in like the 30-40 million player mark. It is insane to me, like how much of a loyal and loving fan base you'd have to have that completely fucked of a development team and company owner and toxic ass community and still be as big as World of Warcraft.
Yeah, and I know recently, one of my other buddies who still actively plays it, we were talking and he mentioned how they got his group got screwed over in a mythic dungeon with a key and everything because something bugged out and they didn't get the reward for it, even though they did successfully complete it. And it's like it's a known bug, and they've been talking to the GMs, and they're like not doing anything about it. And the bug has been known for like a month, and it hasn't been fixed yet. And I'm just like, oh, does not feel good.
Crazy.
Like that's all. It all kind of feeds into itself, It's like the fact that the business is fucking around, the C-suite are fucking around, and there's this shit going on.
It's Bobby's world, man. It's living in Bobby's world.
It's going to have an impact on the game's playability, the resolving of issues.
I honestly think that I don't know. I don't know that like if the World of Warcraft development community turned into a bunch of like poop flinging monkeys in a room and they beat on keyboards until a DLC came out, I think the player base would still eat it. And like 20% of the player base would defend it actively.
Yeah. I'd say like, at least a very good portion of them would, yeah.
So it's like, I mean, they can't fail. They can't. They can shovel shit in players' mouths for years, for almost a decade. And they've learned that they'll just eat it. And Bobby gets a brand new yacht every year, and it's madness, absolute madness.
I wonder how much of it is so like because they have the ability for you to pay for your subscription with in-game money, right? Like the WoW tokens or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
So because that system is in place, longtime players or at the very least players who still play regularly, they're incentivized to keep playing and keep, making money in the game so they can keep playing. But if it's not super fun anymore, like they're going to have to, because even a crap game is made like infinitely more fun playing it with friends, right?
Right.
So if you have a game where it's not fun to play anymore on its own, but if you keep playing, you don't have to pay for it, right? Because you make enough money doing your daily quests and stuff that you can pay for it that way. Playing almost like a second job, like you're playing it 4 hours a day, so that you can keep playing it 4 hours a day. So you convince your buddies to pay for it, right? They're not as dedicated as you. They pay for it, and it's just like it seems like a beast that keeps. It's like the epitome of toxicity.
Yeah, and it's churning, and it's
Or
toxic game
parasocial
development.
or something. Yeah.
So 60% of players reported that they had at least once quit a session, match, or quit playing a game permanently because they were subject to harassment and hate within that game's community. Nearly a quarter of participants reported they did so often or very often.
Sad.
72% of players reported that they have avoided playing certain games because of the reputation of that game's community. Just over a quarter reported they did so often. That's pretty crazy. 72% saying they avoided a game just because of its reputation.
I mean, that's a much larger net, and I used to be really big into League of Legends, so that is kind of why I have never gotten back into League of Legends.
Same.
Because on like one hand, like when I stopped playing, it's not because of the community. It was just more or less I was just kind of done playing at that point. I'm just like, okay, time to play other games and do other stuff. But the reputation that it developed in the meantime, almost any time where I'm like, you know what, I haven't played League of Legends in a while, I'm just like, do I really want to though?
Right.
Deal with all of that.
A little daunting almost.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, that's a much wider net to cast. That's a little less surprising.
This is an interesting one. Notably, male players were more likely to report a change in behavior due to toxic community actions than female players. Male players reported being more likely to decide against spending money based on how others treated them, 46% for males, 35% for females, were more likely to quit a match or a game because of hate or harassment. 42% of males and 34% of females, and were more likely to report avoiding games because of a community's reputation. 50% males, 45% females.
That is interesting.
I thought so. That, like, I think it's because women have to basically, like, learn how to be steadfast in the gaming universe and the gaming world.
It's kind of ingrained at this point, at the very least.
Yeah, where they're like,
yeah.
I would expect that they take less actions against toxic behavior because they're more used to it and they like anticipate it more.
Right. That's kind of what I was thinking. That makes sense. Also sad.
It is sad. The behavioral impact of harassment on spending and engagement has also more pronounced among younger players 7 to 17 than older ones 18 plus. Younger players were more likely to note that at least sometimes they decided not to spend money in game because of how other players treated them, with 52% under 18 and 42% over. I mean, it's pretty dang close to the same thing.
Yeah.
Have quit session match because they were subject to harassment. 50% under 18, 39 over, blah, blah, blah. So age doesn't seem to have as big of an impact as gender does. Moving forward, this data presents a strong business case against the assumption that toxic game players are game's core demographic, and the data demonstrates a negative link between toxic gaming communities and the bottom line. Players are less willing to spend money and engage in gaming spaces where hate and harassment are evident, with the newest generation of players being less tolerant of toxic gaming culture. Which I think League of Legends is actually a fantastic example because they had the worst reputation ever. And they, even though like we all remember that reputation is no longer tarnished like that. So that's about all I'm going to read into. There's more here, but it's all like, this is why you need to do a better at taking care of your community and stuff. And then they have some references here. The conclusions drawn from the data are those of the researchers and not reflect the views of Nelson. Okay, cool. And then they got their appendix and all that. Cool. I just thought it was I didn't realize the numbers were that big, is what I'm saying. What I'm getting at. What was it? It was 70% or something like that. 72% of players reported that they have avoided playing games because of the reputation of their community. Not the reputation of the game, like specifically the game's community.
Yeah. No, I definitely believe it.
It's big.
It's too bad that this isn't like an annual study.
Right.
Because to actually see them do like a basically as close to an identical study as they can do year over year, and just to like graph that out and see how that changes, that would be super fascinating to me. I would love to see that information.
Yeah, and I'm glad they did it by percentage. I trust by percentage.
It's
a lot more. A lot more. Because it's like it doesn't matter if a gaming community has 5,000 people in it or 5 million people in it. Once you break it down to a percentage, if the percentage is close, then it's pretty constant. So moving right along, this is so cool. This is amazing. So this person made a custom boss fight in Fortnite, and I've been looking at a lot of these things that people using have you seen the Fortnite dev kit, Sage?
I've heard a lot about it, and kind of how Fortnite is kind of taking a page out of Roblox's like book, and they're trying to be like almost like a sub game development tool type thing.
I'm getting ready to download Fortnite and start making some maps,
and
man.
Fucking around, yeah.
Because I started thinking about it. There's some old Warcraft 3 maps that are still locked away up in my noggin that I really enjoyed, and I was looking at their dev kit and I'm like, dude, I could remake that.
Yeah,
I could make some like Hero Tower Siege type stuff.
That would be so dope. And it's been said over and over and over again. If you want your game to have longevity, make it open and like
give people the tools and they'll build.
To creators. Exactly.
The better the toolkit, the more longevity your game has. Like
back in the fucking day when like Heroes of Might and Magic on a fucking Windows 95 computer or Windows 98 computer, the amount of time my brother and I spent just kind of fucking around in the map builder making custom maps on that. They weren't even like complicated custom maps, they were just like how big of a number can we punch into this army of dragons, and how many skeletons, like basic skeleton units, does it take to fucking try and wreck them, and just do stupid shit like that. But people who are actually creative and making like really cool map mods and stuff, and it's been consistent throughout. Any game that has been open has been like multiplicatively more successful because of how open it is. Warcraft 3 and StarCraft custom maps made those games so much more famous. Minecraft, the modability of Minecraft and Skyrim, just like we would have already had Elder Scrolls 6 by now if it weren't for how moddable Skyrim is, because people would have stopped playing it 5 years ago.
Well, I was thinking like trying to imagine Skyrim without its dev kit, trying to imagine Grand Theft Auto 5 or 6, whatever the fuck it is. How quick it would have fallen off by comparison if the modding community never came to fruition. I'm trying to imagine, like, during COVID, all of the streamers who were live streaming their RP, their Grand Theft Auto RP, that was like huge, and just imagining what the difference would have been. All right, I want to show you guys this though. Doomsday Raid Boss created in Fortnite, and the guy who made this was inspired by Final Fantasy XIV, the MMO. And there's some probably claimed music, so I'm gonna Dang, I really want you guys to be able to hear it. So check this out. You pick like your class, essentially. So there's like tank, damage, and healer.
The classic triangle.
The holy what do they call it? The
Holy Trinity.
Holy Trinity, yeah. And then he gives you some, like, this is how you do it. Isn't that thing fucking cool? And then you got the little red. He actually made the red warnings appear on the ground that show you the AoE.
So the attacks are telegraphed?
Yeah. So this is his just kind of showing off. I want to make sure this gets demonetized. Yeah, so it's a waiting room and a boss fight. So he posted this, which if you look at this video's only got 3,000 views. Which I think is, and then he's got his map code right here, and he's basically just showing off the map to try to get, basically this is like an advertisement for the map. The map is so fucking cool. Giant boss fight, really cool. So down here, we have a group of people who cleared it. It's gonna be really loud. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Purple went first. Good shit. Even if someone died,
I think we got it.
If you look up here on the left, which you guys can't see, can you? Oop, did I lose it? I hate X so much. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like 6 players in like a raid group fighting him. And I just thought it was so cool that there's people out there making like raid style boss fights in Fortnite. So dope. And I wish we had a better video of it, but I couldn't find a better video of it. Just too bad. Scott Pilgrim versus the World anime is coming on Netflix. I've always been a Scott Pilgrim fan. Fucking music. You guys know what it is. I can't do it. I can't do it. They'll claim the video.
Bread makes you fat?
It looks fun though.
Oh, it'll look super fun.
It looks like the animation is staying very...
How about that?
Whoa, you chopped up real bad. Say something, Sage.
I said, yep, it says Michael Cera is playing Scott Pilgrim, so it's like, yeah, they're reuniting the cast.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't even noticed that. That art style is so iconic to the... Is it a manga? Would you call it a manga?
It's a graphic novel.
Graphic novel? Okay.
Because it's like it's not Japanese.
Right.
So some people may get a little testy if you if you call it a manga, or if you call it an anime, like talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, is that an anime?
It's written by the creator. Has a director of film producing. The entire cast has the voices. Genuine anime studio attached. Is written by the creator and has a band from the game making the music.
That's pretty fucking sweet.
I mean, that's like the lineup. The game, the Scott Pilgrim game, has incredible music. We'll take it. We want the animation to be done very professionally. We're gonna get a big anime studio to do it. We want good voices. We're getting all the voices from the movie.
Star power, yeah.
I mean,
star power.
It's amazing, really, really amazing. And I like that the director of the film is the one producing it, with the writer actually writing it. Yeah, I mean, that's like the biggest W ever. Yeah, these shots look really good. Very excited for that. When is this coming out? Do we have any idea?
It's done when it's done.
We got the trailer. I love this so much. So excited about it. I don't see. I see no dates. Oh well. Cool. I like Netflix adaptation appears to follow the events of the comic more closely than the film.
Does that mean this is their Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood moment?
Think so. Think so. I want to talk to you guys about Palia. Have you heard about Palia?
I know SK has.
Because Palia is looking really fucking tasty to me. Real fucking tasty to me. This project is very near and dear to my heart, as it reminds me a lot of the game that I am currently developing. Albeit this is a little bit softer and brighter, for sure. Mine's definitely got a much darker tone to it. But I actually utilized... yeah, I won't get too much into my own. However, this is looking great. I mean, absolutely fucking stunning. It looks like they basically just yanked Fortnite's art style. And that's totally fine. Stylized art's the way to go, for sure. Going to be added to the Nintendo Switch, what I thought was pretty cool. So this will be, I think, the first MMO on the Switch. And we got stuff fishing, foraging, hunting, mining, insect catching, cooking, furniture making, gardening. The reason this is topical... Oh, yeah, and they just released Pets. Pets was like the big thing going on. Let's see if we can find some pictures of them. They look like cats. Here's the build mode, which I think is sick. It's got like a Sims-style build mode. So imagine you take Fortnite graphics. You give a medieval fantasy flair, MMORPG, with pets and Sims building system and like Harvest Moon style kind of base gameplay. So basically this game is being called like the cozy MMO. It's an MMO that's meant to be cozy feeling. Here's more copyright claim music. Crank this up for you guys. Pretty fun, pretty whimsical.
Magitech.
I mean, obviously this is, you know, just a trailer, cinematic trailer, but
What?
the graphics are pretty true to the game, I would say, despite it being cinematic.
Are you okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Crank this down a little bit. So the thought behind this is not only is it a cozy MMO, but it's supposed to be very, very, very cooperative based. Not cooperation like going and killing big bad monsters and stuff, but cooperative as in like living cooperatively, exploring cooperatively, doing tasks cooperatively. And I think that's a really interesting design. I don't know if the word philosophy is right, but I know nothing of what the cinematic trailer is supposed to be about. However, you guys can sign up to play. All you gotta do is fill out all this stuff. And they have rotating betas coming out. What was that?
I was just gonna say, the usual. Promise them your firstborn and all that.
Yeah, and if you refer, you get your thing. You refer friends, invite friends. You get rewards, like all this happy huggy stuff. I really like their website. I think they did a really good job on it. Man, this is like, I can't tell if it's more Sims or more Fortnite. It is pretty
some
dang
kind of
close.
hybrid. Yeah.
And look, parasail gliding from Zelda. And it looks almost exactly like the same model from Zelda too.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Nope, keep it going. Genshin
If
did.
it ain't fixed,
Fuck
don't
it.
break it.
So, SK's been talking about this, and if SK gets their refer a friend code in chat by the end of this podcast, it will remain in chat until the end of days. So just throwing that out there in case.
I feel like I'm going to be receiving that shortly.
You can post it right into the chat, and this chat will be visible for as long as this video exists on the internet. So just saying. Just saying, you might want to get that out there. Man, I wish the website had a better. So the only thing I don't like about this is there's not there should be a features button. But it's vibrant, it's skills, it's building a house, building a home, exploring a frontier, staking your claim, which I think is actually really cool because there is actually claim staking. Let me see if any of these. This is the reveal trailer. Daytime theme, that's just music. Okay. You don't need to do the link, just put in your code, because when people do the sign up, right here, referral code, you should have a big ass referral code somewhere, and then people can pop that in. Cool. I'm very excited about Palia, and it's pretty topical because Palia is very much so within the realm of Harvest Moon, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Stardew Valley is getting a cookbook co-authored by creator Eric Barone, which I thought was kind of neat. Stardew Valley is about to join the likes of World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV when it gets its own cookbook in April. If you spent any time in Stardew, you've probably taken great pains to set up your crops, milk your cows, and establish a supply line for every important logistical task that is making chocolate cake a present to Abigail.
Definitely looking forward to his next game.
Yeah, same. Now you'll be able to replicate the feat in real life with the official recipes from none other than Stardew creator Eric Cornbread Ape Barone. Concerned ape, excuse me. I said cornbread. Nice. Mr. Cornbread himself.
Well, we are on the subject of recipes. Might be in there.
That's probably why it slipped into my brain.
Yeah.
Releasing in April 2024, the official Stardew Valley cookbook is co-authored by Barone and Ryan Navka, the Stardew Valley guidebook and Hollow Knight Wanderer's Journal. It's said to feature over 50 mouthwatering recipes accompanied by vibrant photography and original illustrations, and is like the game is organized by season. Farmer's lunch in the spring, crab cakes in the summer, and pumpkin soup in the fall are a few of the game favorites that have been confirmed for the project. The book will join a pantheon of cookbooks based on video games, some of which are on my bookshelf. The Final Fantasy XIV cookbook in particular has lots of great recipes in it, like the Ishgard almond cream croissant. And
say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, right. One chef has even made a name for herself specifically as a creator of video game themed cookbooks. turning a Game of Thrones food blog into a career making cookbooks about video games. Chelsea Monroe Castle, who we interviewed in 2017 about her World of Warcraft cookbook, went on to create actual meat space recipes for everything from Star Wars to Overwatch to Elder Scrolls. It's not every day that the creator of the game in question takes direct involvement in its cookbook companion. Brown's got a lot on his plate at the moment. The first update to Stardew Valley since 2020. His next game, Haunted Chocolatier, and a secret third project. Haunted Chocolatier. I like that he's going from the farm to like owning a business. I think that's really interesting because not Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon did the same thing. So, because I love Sage, and you all should love Sage too. We all love Sage. I found a game called Small Sage.
Oh.
And I think Sage would be a big fan of Small Sage.
Oh.
Are you ready to learn about Small Sage, Sage?
Let's see. Let's take a look-see. Oh, you mean Saga?
No. It's Sage.
Sage. Okay. Small Sage.
Yeah.
Small.
It's like
I do carry a Swiss Army knife with me everywhere I go, so it's on brand.
it's Cloud. It's Cloud and his
Oh my god.
his Buster Sword. So basically, it has the same exact perception as Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, the orthographic, top-downish, isometric. That's the word, isometric. Yeah.
And
that's great.
The combat is turn-based. The wizard uses a lighter. And it's basically a turn-based strategy RPG from the perspective of mice adventurers. Yeah, Small Saga.
That's wonderful.
I don't know. I thought it looked beautiful. I think here, let me show you that. I don't know if you saw it, but I'm gonna pause it. I'm sharing this screen still, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me right here. No, right there. See? He's a wizard with a lighter. And then
Casting fireball. Oh, that's wonderful.
Isn't it?
I am smitten. It's also giving me.
This mouse has a bionic leg, and you can tell that he's inside of some kind of lab fighting
Like animal testing. Oh my god.
And he's fighting a rabbit with that has like a brain stitch. And he's got two scalpels taped together. I mean, come on.
Fucked.
Isn't
That's
that cool?
That's great. Oh, you know what it gives me the Secret of Nim vibes. Or the Rats of Nim. I forget. Like one's the book and one is the old animated movie.
It's so good.
It's fantastic. I love it. Is that on Steam?
No.
If it's on
No.
Is it like gonna be released on Epic or is it like independent, like fully independent?
Wait, is this? Let me see here.
Kickstarter. That's their Kickstarter.
I wanted to see when it ended. Last updated August 12th. I don't know. So this had 2,398 backers and they pledged 41,000 euros. I don't remember what their goal was though. Yeah. So their goal was 33,000 and they got 41,000.
Good. I
don't know how I missed this. That's what I'm saying is like so this is the part that's a little fucky. This says estimated delivery July 2021. We are obviously well beyond July 2021. So as of August 12th, it said It's been a long road, but Small Saga is finally in a polished enough state that I can confidently pin down a release date. And what is that release date?
November 16th.
Oh, right there in front of me. So I don't know, guys. Let's see. Where is it releasing on? Doesn't say. Maybe it'll be at the end of this. I like this for cinematic. So it looks like the graphics and stuff all look the same. Holy shit, did you see that? It's a fucking robo-dog.
Yeah.
And this guy is controlling it. The creativity in this is endless. This is endless creativity.
No, you know what, with like indie stuff like this, as long as the developer continues to like show progress, I never really actually care about the release, like the initial release date thing. I'm like, take as long as you want.
Right.
Release a good product.
These guys have the little plastic swords.
Like the for like martinis and stuff. Yeah.
I think that's going to be the best, like the best part
Just
of this
for
is
PC and
just
Mac.
maybe they like assume that everyone else will assume. Pretty ignorant subjects. I don't know. Let's go to all updates real quick. Progress update. Gone fishing. I don't know. Okay. However, I gotta say, guys, November. Keep your eyes peeled. Let me. I was looking at Mortal Kombat.
According to a quick Google, it is on Steam.
Yeah, I just typed in Small Saga into Steam, and it popped up. It is set on Steam to release November 16th. There is a demo. However, it doesn't have a price on here. I'm going to add that to my wish list right now, just to keep an eye on it. Thought it was cool.
Exactly what I did.
I learned about it, and I was like, I feel like this is a very Sage game. I feel like Sage would really, really enjoy this. Hopefully it turns out good. All right, we're going to talk about a man. The way I've been pronouncing his name is Yasuhiro. Yasuhiro? The U may be more of like an A. Yasuhiro? Yasuhiro?
I think the U is almost silent, so it's just like Yasuhiro.
Yasuhiro?
And then I'm pretty sure it's just Wada.
Yasuhiro Wada. You guys might not know him. And a lot of you have definitely played his games. He is basically the father of all farming sims.
Or since we were talking about Stardew earlier, I mean, Stardew is heavily inspired by...
He could have been a maker of Harvest Moon.
Yeah.
With how close it is. I looked up his latest game called like Dragon Cafe, and it has absolutely awful reviews.
Aw.
The problem is the concept sounds awesome and looks really good, but the execution, the people who actually developed it, did not do so good. So, Yasuhiro Wada has been a producer of many games. Oops. Oh, here we go. So he started out with Magical Poppin' and moved on to Harvest Moon. He's always been a producer and director, basically. So I think a lot of this is he's the mind behind, not so much the developer. Harvest Moon, all the way down. And then he got into Rune Factory, which I think is interesting. I had no idea that the maker of Harvest Moon was also the maker of Rune Factory.
Yep.
And he has 2 down here. Little Dragon's Cafe is the last game he produced, and it was not good. And I don't know about Birthdays, the beginning. Is that the dinosaur one? That is the dinosaur one. That game was actually super interesting. I think it just flew under the radar, but is actually a very interesting game. Just don't think I know many people have played it. Good game, good game. So, how do we want to do this, Age? My thought was I was going to pop this up, turn the volume off on it, and just start reading.
Sure. Before though, let's just say what was the first Harvest Moon game that you played?
The first one.
You actually for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not. The first one that I played was the Game Boy Advance one, Friends of Mineral Town. I did, and I was absolutely smitten by it.
The one that I played the most was definitely the GameCube one, the first GameCube one.
Okay, A Wonderful Life?
I think so. I think it was also like the most popular one too.
It was definitely up there. And if you had the Friends of Mineral Town, you could actually link, you could actually link the two together.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to have to do this over here on the side. Being that I've never just done a segment talking about a person before, this might be a little funky. Kind of like how I read that bit yesterday, or not yesterday, day before, about Dark Souls. It's not going to be quite like that, but I have a lot written here, and I'll just pause after I get through a section. But just so we're all on the same page, this is going to be a brief biography of Yasuhiro Wada. And I might just start calling him Wada because saying that whole thing is a little rough. The man behind the farm. Here we go. Yasuhiro Wada, the mind behind the tranquil universe of Harvest Moon, is a testament to the idea that our roots often guide our future. Growing up in Japan, he was cradled by his rich traditions and the subtle nuance of his culture. These cultural echoes later became evident in the heartwarming stories and intricate relationships painted in his games. Games can and should have the power to move hearts, Wada once said, reflecting on his approach to design. His academic journey surprisingly took him away from the world of pixels and into the realm of soil and greens. By diving deep into agriculture and forestry, Wada wasn't just learning about crops and trees, he was absorbing life's rhythms, understanding the profound relationship between human and the land they cultivate, and experiencing firsthand the harmonious dance of communities kindled closely with nature. When Wada transitioned into the game industry, it was a radical leap but a thoughtful stride. It wasn't a radical leap, excuse me. Bridging his profound understanding of rural dynamics with the burgeoning digital realm, the emergence of Harvest Moon in 1990s was nothing short of a gentle revolution. As the gaming aisles were packed with titles of combats and kingdoms, Wada introduced a world where the mightiest tool was a hoe, and the grandest adventure was the changing of seasons. He once remarked, "In Harvest Moon, every small action accumulates to paint the larger picture of life." Beyond just farming, Yada's creations have always been laced with deeper themes: the fragility of life, the magic in human connections, and the whispers of nature that guide us. His mantra to create games that enrich hearts is vividly felt in every pixelated sunset and every in-game festival he designed. While Harvest Moon remains his crowning jewel, Wada's journey in game design has seen other serene landscapes, from towns to cafes, but a common thread ties all of his work together: the joys in life's quiet moments and the beauty of everyday rituals. Yasuhiro Wada's footprint in the world of gaming isn't just about creating games, it's about crafting experiences that linger long after the screen goes dark. At first glance, Wada's academic background in agriculture and forestry may seem unrelated, even alien to the pixelated fantasies of the game world. Yet it was this very connection with the earth and its rhythm that would later become the heartbeat of his creations. I always believed in the power of experiences, Wada once said in an interview. From the soil under our feet to the stories we share, there's a game in every moment. As the 90s dawned, Japan was becoming a global epicenter for video game innovation. Arcades echoed with excitement, and consoles found their way into more homes. Amidst this electronic renaissance, Wada felt a pull towards the burgeoning world of game design. But he wasn't merely attracted to the technology, he was drawn to the potential of marrying his agricultural insights with interactive narratives. His first professional steps into the universe were with Pack-In Video. This wasn't one of the industry giants, but it provided Wada with a canvas to experiment, learn, and mold his vision. As he collaborated on various projects, a pattern emerged in the industry: the prominence of combat action and competitive spirit. Reflecting on this, Wada pondered, why not tranquility? Why not the beauty of a lived moment? This introspection led to the germination of an idea: a game that mirrored the gentle cadence of rural life, a stark contrast to the adrenaline-charged titles on the shelves. Wada didn't just want players to win, he wanted them to feel, to connect, and to find solace. Drawing from the memories of fields swayed with crops and camaraderie of village life, he began crafting what would later become a beacon of peaceful gameplay, Harvest Moon. His venture was daring, almost rebellious in an era of action-packed titles, yet it was Wada's unique fusion of his agricultural roots with his passion for gaming that birthed a genre, a legacy that countless would cherish and follow. There we go. How do you like that for an opener? Yeah. I found at least 3 ways of saying the exact same sentence or paragraph. I think it's really cool that he was not a game developer. That he like literally went to university for agriculture. And it's like to experience agriculture on that level, to study agriculture on that level, to experience like rural farm life and how close people are when there's fewer people, and how you kind of have to deal with shitty people because there's just so fucking few people. And that he chose to leave it all and to go into the city and become a producer of that experience, which was in stark contrast to the experience that was marketable at the time, is pretty amazing to me.
Yeah, pretty groundbreaking, I would say.
And it's hard for me to imagine what the gaming landscape would be like without his initial contribution. Because in a lot of cases, I usually think like, someone would have came along and done the same thing. But in this case, I actually don't know if that's true. I would like to think
anytime soon.
Right. Because we think about like something like Dark Souls. Like, why hadn't anyone done Dark Souls already? Why hadn't anyone made a game that just beat the snot out of you and was, by many accounts, not a fun game? You know, that many people claimed that it wasn't fun. So you'd almost think that would have been a game type, a certain type of game that would have just existed before. So I'm wondering if, would we have crafting games? Would we have survival games? Would we have, would The Sims exist? It's kind of interesting to think about. Because before this, there just wasn't a game that was like just life. I kind of got the feeling that Harvest Moon was probably the first life sim. And I think that's neat. You got any more on that before I keep going?
No, that's pretty much it. It's pretty neat.
Profound. Neat. Quite neat. Quite swell, one might say. All right, I'm going to keep going. So we're going to talk about Wada's educational background. Rooted in reality is what I titled it. Yasuhiro Wada's entry into the world of game design was anything but typical. His background was rooted not in digital graphics or coding algorithms, but in the natural world of agriculture and forestry. Most game developers of this area were exploring the confines of combat and strategy, while Wada was absorbed in understanding nature's dance, its cycles, its symbiosis, and its silent wonders. Life is about cherishing our relationships and building meaningful ones, Wada once mused, a sentiment that wasn't about human interaction alone, but its bond with nature. His formal education equipped him with the knowledge of how plants grow, the vitality of fertile soil, and the crucial balance required in any thriving ecosystem, be it a dense forest or a humble farm. The complexities of maintaining soil health, understanding plant life cycles, and the principles of sustainable agriculture weren't just academic topics for Wada, they were passions. The act of farming, the daily grind of it, the challenges, the rewards it presented deeply resonated with him. There was an art to waiting, to tending, and to reaping what was once sowed. He recalled, in those silent moments amidst nature, I realized that games could also evoke emotion, not just through action, but through the very act of living. This understanding of the world wasn't confined to just forests and farms. Wada was often found observing the routines of rural communities, understanding the simple yet profound joys and struggles of life away from the hustle and bustle. These observations, alongside his formal studies, became the crucible from which his game design philosophy was forged. For Wada, games weren't just for adrenaline rushes or victory dances, they were a canvas on which life's serene rhythms could be painted. He remarked, "The life in a rural area and nature is the feeling I wanted to express in Harvest Moon." True to his vision, when Harvest Moon emerged, it stood apart. There were no monsters to defeat or treasures to unearth. Instead, players found solace in tilling the land, interacting with their neighbors, and partaking in local festivities. The game's meticulous representation of farming and the dynamics of rural community was undeniably influenced by Wada's personal and academic experiences. In a landscape dominated by combat and quests, Wada introduced gamers to the beauty of ordinary life, providing that the game world tranquility and simplicity could stand toe-to-toe with action and excitement. The 90s were marked by the rise of iconic games like Doom, Street Fighter, and The Legend of Zelda. Gamers reveled in adrenaline-packed sequences, frenzied combats, and epic quests. Into this landscape, Wada sought to introduce games about farming. To say it was a challenging sell would be an understatement. When Wada first pitched Harvest Moon, many industry insiders scoffed at the idea. Who would want to spend hours on a virtual farm when they could be battling demons or exploring vast kingdoms? In an interview with, Famitsu magazine, Wada mentioned, "When I first brought up the idea of Harvest Moon, it was met with cold stares. I was told that games should be about escapism, about doing things you couldn't do in real life. Who would want to escape to a farm?" But Wada wasn't deterred. He believed in the therapeutic power of nature and the emotional connection players could foster with a piece of virtual land and its inhabitants. He once commented, "In the midst of all the noise, there are people seeking quiet, I want to give them a place to breathe. The initial release of Harvest Moon faced their share of skepticism. Game shops were unsure where to place it. It wasn't an RPG. It lacked the dynamism of platformers, and it certainly wasn't an action title. But slowly, as players began to immerse themselves in the calm of the countryside, they started recognizing its charm. The game started gaining traction through word of mouth, and soon, against all odds, established itself as a genre-defining title. When Harvest Moon was first introduced to the Super Nintendo, it offered a unique gameplay experience centered around farming, animal care, and building relationships with village residents. As technology and game design techniques advanced, the series embraced these changes. Detailed graphics emerged, seasonal shifts began to affect gameplay, and the list of farm animals expanded, and a plethora of crops, festivals, and marriage options were introduced. The series' adaptability was further showcased by its expansion into various platforms. From handhelds like Game Boy to consoles like the PlayStation and even mobile devices, Harvest Moon ensured fans of all ages and game preferences could dive into the world of farming. This success led to the development of spin-offs. Titles such as Rune Factory integrated farming with action RPG elements, while the Story of Seasons series, a combination of Harvest Moon due to the change in localization terms, expanded upon the original concepts in fresh ways. Despite the peaceful and non-combat centric nature of the game, it stood out and received numerous accolades over the years, emphasizing its significant impact on the simulation genre. It's worth noting the evident influence of Harvest Moon on games like Stardew Valley, which draw clear inspiration from Wada's masterpiece. Among all these achievements, the series' fan base holds a special place. Passionate fans have consistently showcased their love for the game through fan-made art, stories, dedicated forums, and conversations. In a heartfelt moment during an interview, Wada once expressed, "When I hear stories of people who played Harvest Moon when they were young and how it changed their lives, it makes everything worth it. I've been told by fans that the game gave them a purpose or helped them find their calling in life. That's more than I ever dreamed of when creating it." Many players even shared with Wada stories of Harvest Moon helping them through challenging times, highlighting the profound connection many felt with the game. Some were even inspired to pursue agricultural studies or adopt sustainable living practices, all because of their virtual farming experience. What do you think, Sage? I need to give my mouth a break.
Oh, it's yeah. It was a great experience for me. Like, I'd never played a game quite like it at the time, and I don't know if I'd say it was like earth-shattering, pun kind of intended, but
Right.
it was definitely something. It was definitely something special. Definitely something that has stuck with me ever since, as being a subgenre of games that I definitely pay much closer attention to. And whenever something pops up that seems specifically designed to scratch that itch, like Stardew Valley, like Dinkum, I think Coral Island is one that's upcoming. There's quite a few that have, come out in somewhat recent years and is on the horizon that have drawn heavy inspiration from Harvest Moon or farming sims. And the cozy game or the dad game, kind of genre has definitely become a lot more of a thing too, right? Like, you've got games that, some maybe a little tongue-in-cheek, but they still exist now, like, Power Washer Simulator.
Yeah.
Well, like,
Gas station owner simulator.
Yeah, it's like yeah, there's some goofiness to them, you know, and they may be almost like some of them may kind of edge on parody almost. But if a game like Harvest Moon had not if a game company had not taken a chance on Harvest Moon, if they had stuck by their guns to be, you know, the game should be about escapism, then we wouldn't have any of those things.
And honestly, I when I think about games that are like Stardew Valley, when I think about it, I'm like, you know what? Stardew Valley, incredible game, awesome game. But it's still not Harvest Moon. It's like there's still something about Harvest Moon dares to be so damn close to just a relaxation simulator. You know, like it's just like it used to be my before bed game. It was like if I wanted to wind down, I wound down with some Harvest Moon. If I was sick and in bed, Harvest Moon was like a comfort game that I could kind of putz around in and just take care of my farm. And I've even found that games like oh, help me out here, Tom Nook, Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Even games like Animal Crossing, I feel like there's too much pressure to do things and certain activities, and you got to do things in order and blah, blah, blah. Where Harvest Moon, it's like, if you want to just sit on your farm and do borderline nothing, that's okay. If you want to like just plant a little garden for the sake of planting it, you don't even need a reason to. And if you miss out on the festival in town, no problem. If there's certain NPCs that you don't like, don't talk to them. It's
the classic games. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, the classic
older games
is what I'm. Yeah, that's what I'm referring to too. Is at least the ones I played, which would have been like the GameCube era. And I'd like to see more games. Really, that's why I brought up that MMORPG, because as far as I can tell, it's an MMO that wants to be Harvest Moon, and I'm like, that's fucking nuts. You know, because in my mind, I'm like, man, who would play that? And then I get thinking about it, and I'm like, man, if you took the RPG elements, you took the building crafting elements of a crafter, you take the community of an MMO, you take the actual building and land ownership building of like The Sims, and you throw it all into a blender, you might just come out with a masterpiece. You know, you may just come out with the world's most in-depth and complex and expensive chat room. But I mean, fucking Second Life was insanely big and insanely ahead of its time. And that game is just
it's
a
pretty
very
niche,
strange place. But it follows that idea of like, it's not
your world to do
game,
what you want in it,
but it's a game.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's. I'm gonna keep going here. I wrote quite a bit, and hopefully it's not too redundant. When I went back and read it, I thought maybe it'd be too redundant. Wada's influence on the gaming industry extends beyond just the idyllic pastures of Harvest Moon. After his tenure with Marvelous Entertainment, Wada embarked on a fresh journey, laying the foundation of his own game development company, Toybox Inc. Here he was free to cultivate his ideas, allowing him to sow seeds of innovation and watch them bloom into unique gaming experiences. One of Toybox's memorable creations, Hometown Story, takes a page from Harvest Moon but shifts the spotlight. Instead of focusing solely on farming, players are immersed in running a shop within a small town. It magnifies the essence of building, of business mingled with personal connections, requiring players to make impactful decisions that shape both the relationships and the town's future. However, Wada's desire to explore didn't stop there. Little Dragon's Cafe introduced gamers to an entirely different canvas, a delightful merger of management simulation with open-world exploration. Players find themselves managing a cafe and nurturing a dragon simultaneously, all wrapped in Wada's signature warmth and charm. It's not just the mechanics or the gameplay that makes Wada's games stand out, it's the emotion and philosophy interwoven within them. They aren't merely about tasks or objectives, they're a celebration of life's simple moments, relationships, and the everyday magic that often goes unnoticed. Echoing this sentiment, Wada once shared in an interview, life's most treasured moments often come from the ordinary, sharing a meal, laughing at a shared memory, or lending a helping hand. Throughout my games, I want players to rediscover these overlooked wonders. This deep-rooted philosophy emphasizes connections, kindness, and discovery, resonating throughout all of his work, making each game a unique journey into the heart of everyday miracles. In the vast panorama of the gaming industry, certain luminaries stand out not just for the games they've made, but for the ripples they create, the paradigms that they shift. Oh my goodness. I forgot how to pronounce his name already. Yasuhiro Wada is undoubtedly one of those trailblazers, having gifted the world a perspective that was refreshingly different from the norm. At a time when high-octane, action-packed titles were predominantly in vogue, Wada presented a gentler, introspective viewpoint. His games, built around the themes of life, relationships, and nature, served as a serene counterpoint, a reminder that video games could be more than just battles and scores. They could also be windows into human emotions and connections. It's this vision of his that posed a formidable challenge to the games norms of the 90s and the early 2000s. Wada's imprint on the gaming industry isn't just confined to the direct products of his creativity. His works have been seminal in influencing a generation of developers who saw merit in creating quieter, more contemplative experiences. In the wake of Harvest Moon's success, we've witnessed emergence of games, like Stardew Valley, Spiritfarer, and My Time in Portia. Titles that, in their own unique way, pay homage to Wada's foundational ideas. By the way, My Time in Portia was a wonderful game. Very fun little game.
And I definitely recommend Spiritfarer.
So good. It's hard to encapsulate the entirety of Wada's legacy in a few paragraphs. For his work speaks to something profound and universal. As generations of players have come to realize, his games beckon us to slow down, to cherish little moments, and to find joy in the rhythm of everyday life. Reflecting upon this ethos, Wada once mentioned, "In the fast-paced world we live in, I wanted to offer a space of serenity, a slice of life untethered from the relentless race of time." And indeed, through his games, countless players have found solace, a haven, and perhaps a little more appreciation for the world around them. As we trace the footsteps of Wada through the realms of gaming, one cannot help but be inspired by the quiet strength of his vision. From the leafy expanse of agricultural fields to the pixelated farms of Harvest Moon, his journey has been a testament to the idea that gaming can be more than just quests and combat. It can embrace life's simplest joys. His work stands as a beacon illuminating the potential of video games to echo the tranquility, rhythm, and raw beauty of everyday life. Man, I feel like I have rewritten the same sentence 80 different ways. Let's see here. Each title he has touched resonates with the authenticity of his experiences, beckoning players to pause, reflect, and find enjoyment in virtual rhythms of rural life. Yep. Blah, blah, blah. It's no exaggeration to say that Wada has not only influenced a genre, but also shaped the very fabric of how we perceive and experience games. In his own words, a quote that beautifully encapsulates the essence of his philosophy and vision: "For me, games are a medium that should evoke emotions, whether it's the simple joy of watching a crop grow or the heartache of saying goodbye. It's life's moments that find their echo in the games we play. I hope to continue crafting experiences that touch the soul, reminding players of the beauty, pain, and wonder of existence." Ugh. Tilted my head for too long. That's it. That's all I wrote. And as you've been seeing in the background, this has been all of the Stardew Valley games from
Oh,
1996 to 2020.
I really haven't played any of the modern ones.
It is kind of interesting to watch them, like just kind of see them go by.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the core thesis behind them has pretty much stayed the same, but definitely a lot besides that has changed.
I mean, it really is like, I mean, it's so interesting how simple it is and how good it is. Like watching this, I don't even know what I'm watching. What game are we on? Harvest Moon something.
I think it said Trio of Towns, which I don't even remember hearing about. But then they also, Light of Hope. I remember seeing that one
Nintendo
in
Switch,
stores.
PlayStation 4, Android. Oh man, it's on all sorts of shit.
Yeah, it's very multi-platform now.
This is kind of ugly.
I think it was done more as like an indie level thing.
Yeah, it'd have to be.
Because it's not really AAA is the thing. Like it used to be, right? Like the GameCube one, all of the GameCube. Well, definitely the first one for GameCube.
Oh my
A Wonderful
goodness.
Life. Oh, that looks. It's Doraemon. Okay, so it's like a crossover referencey thing. I wouldn't really count that one.
His face was horrifying.
But it felt AAA, right? Like that felt like it felt great. It looked great. It felt like a Harvest Moon, like the logical progression of Harvest Moon.
Hey, Story of
Yep.
Season.
So Friends of Mineral Town. Yep, that was the remake they did of the Game Boy Advance one, which the Game Boy Advance one was basically a remake of Harvest Moon 64. So this is like a remake of a remake.
Nice.
It
looks good.
Oh, it's that perfectly it better be. Like that's one of the classic ones that fans would have been in a major uproar. So this is like more of a party game type one. They've branched
Nice.
out. They've done different things like arcade. It's fine, whatever. But it's definitely not what I would consider like a key Harvest Moon game. Right? Like the relaxation.
Yeah, this does
part
not
of
look
it.
relaxing for sure.
And it's like they've had their mini games and stuff in them, but they've always been optional.
So this is the
One
newest
World,
one?
I don't know anything about One World.
2020? Or newer, I should say. Because
newest as far as maybe this video is considered.
Yeah, the video's 3 years old.
The video's 3 years old. Yeah.
1 month there was an announcement trailer of a new Harvest Moon.
They've kept up a pretty aggressive release schedule then. You know, at least something
This
in the
looks really good.
franchise, at least.
This looks very good. So what was the new one? Harvest Moon, The Winds of Anthos. This came out 1 month ago.
E for everyone.
Let's check it out. Get me copyrighted. Do it. I fucking dare you. Sorry. Oh, that looks way different. Dude, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has changed video games forever. It's definitely got that Harvest Moon look to it, though. With everything being big and chunky. Yeah. Looks like some decent budget was put behind this one. There's dog training, horse races. Oh, I see. Okay, this is definitely Pokemon, right? I was trying to think of what game it looked like. This definitely looks like Pokemon.
It looks like Arceus, yeah. The Legends of Arceus and stuff.
Okay, conversations look good, nice and zoomed in. Characters look nice. You still got like little fantasy fairy creatures and such. Ooh, the crops look great. Yeah, the crops look fantastic. Still got your
You
festivals,
got festivals,
and shit.
yeah.
Yeah, this is very Pokemon. This is if you told me that this is just the next Pokemon game, I'd be like, yeah, yeah, sure is.
The character design, yeah.
Oh,
I wouldn't recommend doing that in real life.
that's definitely a Velociraptor right there.
Pokemon Snap. It's a Yoshi.
Whimsical characters, a professor. I'm telling you, it's just Pokemon. I'm sure just horse, just raptor, and just bear are all Pokemon as well. Interesting. Oh. Oh. Hey, I don't want that kind of stress
You
in
done
my
screwed,
games.
son. You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?
No. Keep this out of my game. There we go. Harvest Moon, The Winds of Anthos, releasing in September of this year. I like it. Looks like a PlayStation exclusive.
Definitely keep in mind that Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons are like separate things now too.
Oh, true,
And
true.
it is kind of confusing. So like the classic Harvest Moon experience, you're going to get more along the lines with the Story of Seasons games. Whereas the the newer Harvest Moon games are going to be a little more modernized and experimental.
Yasuhiro Wada. I don't know if it's racist to say it like that. Sorry. My apologies. Yeah. That's all I got, Sage. We're only an hour and 40 minutes. That's all I got. I did not plan appropriately for this podcast. The thing is, I wanted to discuss this man, but like, what's to discuss? There's nothing to discuss. I just want to teach you guys about him. I just want you to learn about him. That's it, right? Learn about this wonderful man.
Yeah,
And-
I linked to an article that actually kind of talks about some of the differences between the Story of Seasons and Harvest Moon and stuff. If we want to look at that, that's something we can take a peek at. Otherwise, we can also talk about maybe what other individuals we might do future kind of deep dives on in the gaming space, the creators and developers and musicians.
You know, I want to say that something I really appreciate about Harvest Moon is how consistent it is. If there's like something I really, really appreciate about it and the guy who made it is that it didn't start at the 90s as something simple and then like now it's just another Zelda game or something. Like I like that it's remained like you know exactly what you're going to get. Like this game, Winds of Anthos, we were talking about the way it looks, right? Commenting on how it looks. But like we already know what it is. It's like it's almost like we've already played the game. You know, but there's going to be all these exploration elements and there's going to be like new people to visit and to learn about. The core gameplay is probably going to be by and large the same and familiar. But it's like that is totally okay and I'm happy with that. And I'm excited to meet the new villagers and do the new festivals and you know, it's almost like you're excited to move to a new town is the feel of it. Like I'm moving to a new village and that's like exciting. To me anyway, that's exciting.
Yeah. And every Harvest Moon game has it's like 95% the same game with maybe a slightly different coat of paint, you know, updated graphics or different art style. But they do always do something a little bit different with it too.
Yeah, and the people you meet are always, you know, way different. Super different. I don't ever feel like villagers are copy and paste. Maybe mayors and blacksmiths or something, but
Sometimes with the remakes,
oh well, the
would
remakes,
be the
yeah.
exception there, because like then some of the characters still updated a bit, but most of them are like, oh yeah, that's the same character from the game. It's a remake of it. That's to be expected. Most of them, I don't know. There's always some slight differences, like melodies. You had a rival, and most like a legit rival who you could also marry.
Oh, nice.
But
what
all
the
the other
twist?
games
Pokemon
I'm
Red.
aware of.
You marry Gary at the end. What the
It
twist?
it goes deep. The inspiration.
As does Gary.
Oh
Oh.
my. My.
So yeah, like you were saying, Sid Meier came to mind, obviously, because I talked about him. The problem that I have found with this topic is you almost have to like look for a game like Harvest Moon and then find out who made it and then see if they have a story, it's super interesting because there's even like studios I'd like to talk about. I know I've talked about like Mario, like Super Mario. Just some of the artwork, the early development artwork is incredible. And the different iterations the game went through. When they decided to make Mario Kart, they couldn't sell the studio, they couldn't sell Nintendo on the idea. And the guy who was like heading the project rented out a go-kart racing track and made everyone go-kart racing for the day, and then afterwards got greenlit to make Mario Kart. I mean, there's like shit like that that's so fucking interesting. That
Manipulate the investors, the
Yeah.
boards.
Yeah, they're like,
"Look, this is fun, right?"
they're like, no, people like to race boats. They want to race cars. They don't want to race carts. And you're like, no, come go-kart racing. And afterwards they're like, oh yeah, no, that's great. That's way better than cars and boats.
Now imagine that, but we can throw shit at each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Bananas.
And then there's the story of Donkey Kong. The development team for Donkey Kong, they worked inside of a warehouse, like a shipping warehouse in California, because they were trying to make it for an American arcade market, and they were working almost completely disconnected from the Nintendo studio. So that's why like Donkey Kong the game, with like him throwing barrels down and Mario jumping, and like it's so completely fucking weird, and there's never been anything like it, is because a random group of dudes who they were just working out of a warehouse came up with it. And the guy that they were renting from was an Italian man, and there's speculation that that's where the idea for Mario came from. And the reason that they're inside of a warehouse in the game throwing barrels is because the guys who made the game were literally in a warehouse. And they wanted to name the game because the translation was off. Wanted to name it like, what was it? It was like basically Asshole Gorilla was like the name of the game, or like Wild Asshole Gorilla was like the name of the game. And obviously
Right.
the Americans were like, no, you cannot name it that. And they're like, okay.
Censorship.
They're like, okay, well, what's Asshole Gorilla?
Kind of goes to Jackass, which
It
goes
went to
Donkey,
Jackass,
and then
went to Donkey, and then instead of Gorilla, they went with Kong. I love that it's Jackass Gorilla was the name of the game, and they're like, you absolutely cannot name a game Jackass Gorilla. And they're like, okay,
just
how about
skip around
Donkey
it
Kong?
through etymology. It's nice.
It's so crazy that that's how he got his name, and that it's stuck to this date.
Yeah.
So we got all sorts
Tetris
of
would
shit
be
we
good
could talk
too.
about.
SK talking about Tetris, because that was like Russia and stuff, and I remember that, reading about that before, that was pretty crazy.
I
too.
would cover Tetris, the story, and I think it's one of the coolest stories in gaming history, but there's a movie coming out about it.
Oh, that's right.
And I think
Forgot
that
about
movie is
that.
going to be amazing. I think it's going to be awesome because like the intricacies of that story, like when you get really down and dirty, like there's like shit like, you know, these people had CD rights to the game. These people had cartridge rights to the game. The guy that was the American guy that was trying to haggle with the rights and trying to get it sold to a development company didn't actually have the right to it. The Russian government had rights to it, but they didn't know. I mean, the dude actually sold the rights to Russian government technology unbeknownst to the Russian government. Wild. and the dude was working for the government. I mean, he was working like military shit. So it was
Right.
like to them, a Russian scientist made a piece of software and sold it to an American during the Cold War. You know, because like the context for gaming and stuff wasn't there or didn't matter or whatever. I mean, it was just fucking
It was fresh territory.
yeah, fucking bananas.
I would definitely want to do a deep dive on Yuji Naka for Sonic. Then I was thinking Nobuo Uematsu for Final Fantasy, you know, Square Enix music, Final Fantasy in particular. And Grant Kirkhope, which is musician for Rareware, like Banjo Kazooie and stuff. I think
Okay.
I think they would be great
Heck yeah.
individuals to do dives into, spotlights on.
Preferably
At least
people
a
with
couple.
easy to pronounce names would be my preference.
Well, yeah, Yuji Naka is easy and Grant is easy.
Grant is very easy.
No, Nobuo Uematsu is a little more, but it's not bad.
Yeah. So, you know, shorter episode today, guys. Sorry, not sorry. I'll do better next time.
So sorry.
Oh, I wanted to talk about
Please
the
forgive.
guy who made the game more than the game itself. The problem is there is not much information on Wada out there. And he did sparse interviews, and many of those interviews were him just repeating the same information and sentiment. So I think it made what I wrote very repetitive sounding. So I apologize for that. But I did not know about the winds of Anthos until I started researching for this yesterday, day before. And I was like, oh, well, nice. 1 month ago, this was announced. So this is great.
Yeah, I completely missed it too. I didn't even know. I was more excited about the re-release, the remake for A Wonderful Life, which is out now. So I didn't even realize that they actually were working on a new game.
This is straight up Pokemon.
It has that vibe.
What was
really
it?
strong.
It was those people sitting on the bench that sold it. Sold me on. If I can find the spot. Oh, right there. Right there. That's what sold me. This woman is in Pokemon. We have all seen her before. This is a familiar character. I don't
They
know
just
who she is.
Marvel.
Someone copied and pasted random old woman from Pokemon. I hope this is the character. If you could make your character look that diverse, that'd be sick. I'm all about character customization. Well, that's it for me, guys. I'm overheating like a motherfucker. I am sweating like crazy. It is hotter than shit down here. I have like 50 lights on me and I'm not doing okay.
We gotta get you a water-cooled gaming chair.
Well, for some reason, I decided to put an A shirt on underneath this shirt, so I'm wearing two shirts for no reason.
For no reason.
Absolutely no reason. None.
If it's any hotter, next episode, you're just gonna be wearing a wife beater.
Well, that's why I call it A shirt, because I don't like to say
A-shirt.
that terminology.
It's a pretty
Sage.
nasty word, yeah.
Don't like it. Don't like it, Sage.
It's bad. Tank top.
Tank top, yeah. A shirt, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. A beater, I guess. You know, it's funny. I used to think it was called a beater because it was like commonly used as like a jerk off rag.
Oh my god, gross.
Yeah, I know. That's why I thought it was back in the day when I was little, younger. When I first started practicing playing with my pickle, that's what I thought it was.
God damn it.
I was like, that's what I used it for. So,
TMI.
hey, listen. Sometimes, you know, you've been wearing the same pair of socks for too long, and you're like, I'm not touching myself with that.
Stop. You killed me.
Ah, yeah, not a family-friendly episode anymore. See what I did there? Tanked it.
Turn.
For those of you who made it almost 2 hours in, allow me to ruin. You think I won't ruin a whole episode for a laugh? Watch this.
Hold my beer.
Hold my beer. Ah.
Oh my goodness. All right, folks. We're calling it then.
Yes, we are. We're calling it.
Time of death, 11 p.m. 8/16/2023.
You got anything for the people?
F's in chat.
No. No F's in chat. Hearts in chat.
Hearts are good. We like hearts too. Oh yeah, the winglet. That plush.
I was thinking about buying it and just putting it like behind me somewhere,
Oh,
or
just
like
in the
having it like
background.
peeking, like just peeking up in the background behind me, and people be like, "What the heck is that?" It's my Pokemon. It's my
Don't worry about it.
It's my
Why
favorite
you looking?
Pokemon for reasons I won't. All right, guys. You have a good one. We're out.
Night.